I want to tell you something that still makes my hands shake when I think about it. 6 months ago, I walked into Premier Auto Group on Hamilton Street and signed the papers that made me the sole owner of the very dealership where my son-in-law had spent 3 years mocking me, belittling me, and treating me like I was some kind of embarrassment to my own daughter. The look on his face when he realized what was happening, the way the color drained from his cheeks, the sound of his voice cracking when he tried to speak. I will take that memory to my grave. But before I tell you how I got there, before I explain how a 68-year-old retired factory worker ended up owning a luxury car dealership, I need you to understand how we arrived at that moment. I need you to see what he did, what they both did. And I need you to know that every single thing I'm about to tell you is true. Every word, every detail, every dollar amount. So please, if you are enjoying this story, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I am reading every single comment, and your support means the world to me. Now, let me take you back to where this really started. 3 years ago, my daughter Jennifer married Marcus Webb. I should have seen it then. I should have recognized the signs. But I was so happy to see my baby girl happy that I ignored the little things. The way he corrected her pronunciation at dinner, the way he checked his reflection in every window we passed, the way he talked about money constantly, always circling back to how much things cost, what brands people wore, what neighborhoods they lived in. Jennifer met him at some corporate networking event downtown. She was 32, working as a marketing coordinator at a mid-size firm, and Marcus was 35, a sales manager at Premier Auto Group. He sold luxury vehicles, Mercedes, BMW, Audi, Porsche, the expensive stuff, the kind of cars I had never owned and never expected to own. I drove a 2006 Honda Accord, champagne beige, 173,000 miles on the odometer. Cloth seats worn smooth in places, a crack in the windshield on the passenger side that I kept meaning to fix. The air conditioning only worked on the highest setting. The CD player had stopped working in 2011. But that car, God, that car had been with me through everything. I bought it used in 2008 with money I had saved from working double shifts at the packaging plant. My wife Linda and I had saved for 6 months to afford the down payment, $12,000 we paid for it, every penny accounted for. Linda passed away in 2017. Pancreatic cancer. 7 months from diagnosis to funeral. I drove that Accord to every single chemotherapy appointment. I drove it to the hospital on the last night. I drove it home alone. That car smelled like her perfume for months afterward. White diamonds. I did not have the heart to clean it out completely. Jennifer knew what that car meant to me. She had learned to drive in that car. I had taught her myself in the empty parking lot behind the old Kmart. She took her driver's test in it. She drove it to junior prom when her date's car would not start. She knew. The first time Marcus made a comment about my car was at their engagement party. Small gathering, maybe 40 people. Jennifer and Marcus rented out a private room at some upscale Italian place downtown. Cloth napkins, wine list thicker than the menu. I wore my good suit, the navy one I had bought for Linda's funeral and had only worn twice since. I arrived early because I wanted to help set up, bring in the gift, make sure Jennifer had everything she needed. I am her father. That is what you do. I parked my Accord in the lot next to all the other vehicles, Audis, BMWs, a Tesla, a Mercedes SUV that looked like it cost more than my house. Marcus was outside smoking a cigarette when I walked up. He looked at my car, looked at me, looked back at the car. Then he laughed. Not a chuckle, a full laugh. He said, "Jesus Christ, Frank, you drove that thing here to a place like this?" I said it was my car and it ran fine. He took a drag from his cigarette and said, I guess if you are okay with people thinking you are broke." He flicked ash onto the pavement. "You know Jennifer and I are going to have an image to maintain now, right? We are building a life, a real life. It might be time for you to think about upgrading to something that does not look like it belongs in a junkyard." I felt something cold settle into my chest, but I smiled. I said congratulations and walked inside. I did not mention it to Jennifer. It was her engagement party. I was not going to ruin it, but I remembered. I filed it away. The wedding was 4 months later. September 15th, 2022. Beautiful ceremony. Jennifer looked radiant. I walked her down the aisle and handed her off to Marcus, and I meant every word when I said I was happy for them. The reception was at some country club Marcus had picked out. Everything was expensive. Everything was branded. Marcus made sure everyone knew how much everything cost, the flowers, the band, the venue. He kept saying, "Only the best for my bride," but what he really meant was, "Look at how much money I can spend." I drove my Accord to the wedding, parked it in the back of the lot where it would not be visible. Marcus still found a reason to mention it. During the reception, he pulled me aside near the bar and said, "I notice you are still driving that beater. You know, I could get you into a certified pre-owned BMW for practically nothing. Employee discount, payment plans, we would make it work." He put his hand on my shoulder. "I just think it would be better for everyone if you were driving something that reflected well on the family." I told him I was fine with what I had. He shrugged. He said, "Suit yourself, but do not park that thing in front of our house when you visit. The HOA has standards." They bought a house in Riverside Meadows, new construction, 4,000 square feet, 5 bedrooms, 3.5 bathrooms, in-ground pool, 3-car garage. Jennifer told me they paid $640,000 for it. She said it like she was proud. I did my math. Based on what I knew Jennifer made and what Marcus probably made selling cars, they had to be stretched thin. Very thin. But I did not say anything. They were adults. They could make their own choices. The comments about my car continued. Every single time I saw Marcus, he found a way to bring it up. Thanksgiving dinner at their house, he said, "Frank's still rolling around in that death trap. I keep telling him we can get him financed." Christmas Eve, he said, "I saw Frank's car in the driveway and almost called a tow truck." Jennifer's birthday dinner in March, he said, "You know what would be a great gift for Frank? A car made in this century." He always said it with a smile, always like it was a joke. But it was not a joke. It was a message. You are not good enough. You are an embarrassment. You do not belong in our world. Jennifer never defended me, not once. She would laugh along with him. Sometimes she would say, "Oh, Marcus, stop," but in a way that was playful, not serious, like she agreed with him but wanted to be polite. I started to notice other things too, the way she talked about money now. The way she name-dropped brands, the way she made excuses when I suggested we go to lunch at the diner where we used to eat when she was in high school. She was becoming someone I did not recognize, someone I did not raise. One incident stands out. Mother's Day, 2023. I invited Jennifer to visit Linda's grave with me. We used to go together every year, plant flowers, clean the headstone, sit and talk. It was our tradition. Jennifer said she could not make it. She said she and Marcus had brunch reservations at some place called the Ivy House. I said maybe we could go to the cemetery first early in the morning and she could still make her brunch. She got quiet. Then she said, "Dad, I am building a life with Marcus now. I cannot keep living in the past. Mom would want me to move forward." I felt like she had slapped me. I said okay and hung up. I went to the cemetery alone. I planted petunias, pink ones, Linda's favorite. I sat on the grass next to her headstone and cried for the first time since the funeral. But I kept my mouth shut. I smiled. I showed up for family dinners. I brought gifts for holidays. I did not make waves. I told myself this was just how young people were now. This was just Marcus's personality. This was just Jennifer finding her way. I told myself a lot of things. Then, in June of 2023, something shifted. Jennifer called me crying, late at night, almost 11. She said she and Marcus had a huge fight about money. She said he was spending too much. She said the credit card bills were insane. She said they were behind on the mortgage, 2 months behind. She said Marcus kept telling her it was fine, that he had big commission checks coming, that he was about to close some huge deals. She said she was scared. She asked if she could borrow $5,000 just to get caught up. I did not have $5,000. I had my pension from the plant. I had Social Security. I had about $12,000 in savings that I kept for emergencies. That was it. That was my safety net. But she was my daughter, my only child. I said yes. I transferred $5,000 into her account the next morning. She promised she would pay me back within 3 months. She said Marcus was getting a huge bonus in September. She said they would be fine. She thanked me over and over. She said I was saving them. 3 months came and went. No repayment. I did not push. She was my daughter. Then in October, she called again. She needed $3,000 more. She said the car payment on Marcus's Porsche was late. She said he needed the Porsche for work, for his image, for his sales. She said if he lost the car, he would lose his edge. She said it was an investment in their future. I hesitated. She cried. I sent the money. Then $2,000 in December, $1,500 in February of 2024, another $3,000 in April. I was keeping track. In a little notebook I kept in my desk drawer, every amount, every date, every excuse. The total was $18,500, $18,500, more than I paid for my entire car. I was down to $4,000 in savings. My cushion was gone. I was living pension check to pension check, and I had not heard a single word about repayment. But here's the thing that really made me start paying attention. Marcus kept showing up to family dinners in new clothes, new watches, new everything. He wore a Rolex to Easter dinner. He bragged about it. He said it cost $12,000. He bought it in March. The same month, Jennifer called crying about being behind on the mortgage. I saw him pull up to Jennifer's birthday dinner in May, driving a brand new Audi RS7, bright red. He said he leased it. He said the payments were only $900 a month. Only. Like $900 a month was nothing. Meanwhile, Jennifer had told me 2 weeks earlier that they were struggling to make the $1,500 a month payment on his Porsche. Something was wrong. Something was very wrong. I started paying closer attention. I started noticing that Marcus came home late most nights. Jennifer mentioned it constantly. She would say he was working late, closing deals, meeting with clients. But something about the way she said it, the way her voice got tight, the way she changed the subject quickly. I knew that tone. That was the tone of someone who suspected something but was too afraid to confirm it. There was another incident that pushed me over the edge. July 4th weekend. Jennifer and Marcus hosted a barbecue at their house. Big party, maybe 60 people, friends from work, neighbors, family. I showed up with potato salad and a watermelon. I parked my Accord on the street because their driveway was full. Marcus saw me walking up. He was standing by the grill with a beer in his hand, talking to some other men. When I got closer, I heard him say, "Yeah, that is Jennifer's dad. Great guy, but man, he is stubborn. Still driving that piece of garbage from the Stone Age. I have offered to get him into something decent, but he refuses. I think he likes embarrassing us." The men laughed. Marcus saw me then. He did not look sorry. He raised his beer. He said, "Hey, Frank, we were just talking about you." I nodded. I walked past them into the house. I put the food in the kitchen. I stayed for 20 minutes. Then I told Jennifer I was not feeling well and left. She barely noticed. She was too busy playing hostess, making sure everyone saw her perfect house and her perfect life. In June, I decided to do something I had never done before. I hired a private investigator. His name was Tom Chen, former police detective. I found him through an ad in the community newspaper. I met with him at a coffee shop near my house. I paid him $1,500 up front, cash, from my dwindling savings. I gave him Marcus's information, his work address, his schedule. I told him I needed to know what my son-in-law was really doing with his time. Tom did not ask questions. He just nodded and said he would be in touch. 2 weeks later, Tom called me. He said we needed to meet. Same coffee shop. He brought a folder, a thick folder. He laid it out on the table between us. Photographs, receipts, timeline logs. He said, "Your son-in-law is having an affair." Multiple affairs, actually. 3 different women that I was able to confirm in 2 weeks of surveillance. My stomach dropped. Tom showed me the evidence. Marcus at an expensive steakhouse with a blonde woman. Marcus at a hotel downtown with a brunette. Marcus at a wine bar with a redhead. Different women, different nights. He was spending money everywhere. The receipts Tom had obtained through various means showed hundreds of dollars per outing. $500 dinners, $300 bar tabs, hotel rooms at $200 a night. Tom estimated Marcus was spending at least $3,000 a month on these affairs. Maybe more. I asked if he was certain. Tom said he was certain. He said Marcus was using a credit card that did not appear to be linked to his joint account with Jennifer. He said Marcus was sloppy about it, arrogant, like he did not think anyone would ever check. I paid Tom another $1,000. I asked him to keep digging. I wanted to know everything, where the money was coming from, what accounts, what Marcus owned, what he owed. Tom said he would need some time, but he could get it. He had contacts. He knew people. I did not tell Jennifer, not yet. I needed more information first. I needed to be absolutely sure. I needed to have everything documented. While Tom was working, I did some investigating of my own. I started looking into Marcus's dealership, Premier Auto Group. I drove past it a few times. Big shiny building, glass walls, expensive cars lined up in rows, a huge sign with Marcus's photo on it. Top sales manager 3 years running. I went online. I looked at reviews. I looked at sales records that were public. I looked at the business filings. Premier Auto Group was independently owned. The owner was a man named Gerald Hutchins, 74 years old. I found an article in the Business Journal from 3 months earlier. Gerald was thinking about retirement. He was looking to sell. The asking price was $1.2 million. An idea started forming. Crazy, impossible. But it would not leave my mind. I scheduled a meeting with my financial advisor, a woman named Patricia Reeves who had helped Linda and me set up our retirement accounts years ago. I had not talked to her in over a year. I asked her to review my complete financial situation, my pension, my Social Security, my savings, which was down to $2,500, my house, which I owned outright. It was worth about $280,000 based on recent sales in the neighborhood. Patricia looked at everything. She asked me what I was thinking. I told her I was considering making an investment, a big one. I asked her if there was any way I could get my hands on significant capital. Patricia thought about it. She said, "Frank, you could take out a home equity line of credit. Given that your house is paid off and your credit is excellent, you could probably access up to 80% of the value. That would be around $220,000. I asked what else. She said, "You have your retirement account. It is not huge, but you have about $90,000 in there. You could withdraw it. There would be penalties and taxes, but in an emergency, it is available." She asked me what this was about. I said I would rather not say yet. She looked concerned, but she did not push. I went home. I sat at my kitchen table, the same table where Linda and I had eaten dinner for 37 years. I did the math. Home equity line, $220,000. Retirement account after penalties and taxes, maybe $70,000. Savings, $2,500. Total, $292,500. Not enough, not even close. But I had one more asset, my car, my 2006 Honda Accord with 173,000 miles. I looked up the value. Private sale, maybe $3,000. Maybe. I felt sick, but I kept thinking, kept planning. I called Tom. I asked him if he had anything new. He said he did. He asked if I could come to his office. I drove there next morning. Tom's office was in a strip mall between a nail salon and a tax preparation service. Small space, cluttered desk. He offered me coffee. I declined. He pulled out another folder. "Your son-in-law is in serious financial trouble," Tom said. "He has 18 credit cards, all of them maxed out. Total debt on those cards is approximately $210,000. He has the car lease on the Audi. He has a car loan on the Porsche. He has the mortgage on the house. He is behind on almost everything. The only reason he has not been foreclosed on yet is because your daughter keeps making minimum payments with money from her salary, and I assume, money from you." I asked about his income. Tom said Marcus made about $90,000 base salary plus commissions. On a good year, with commissions, he might clear $130,000. But this year, he was down. His sales numbers were slipping. He was on track to make maybe $110,000 total. Not enough to cover his lifestyle. Not even close. Tom slid another document across the desk. "This is the interesting part. Marcus has been embezzling from the dealership. Small amounts, 500 here, 1,000 there. He has been manipulating sales records and pocketing the difference. I was able to confirm at least $35,000 over the past 18 months. My heart was pounding. I asked how Tom knew this. He said he had a contact at the dealership, someone in accounting who had noticed irregularities. This person had been documenting it, but had not reported it yet. They were scared. They did not want to lose their job. But they had the records. Tom said he could get copies if I paid his contact $2,000. I paid it. Tom had the documents 3 days later. Spreadsheets, sales records, bank deposits that did not match. It was all there. Marcus Webb was a thief, a cheater, a liar, and he was stealing from the man who owned the dealership where he worked. That night, I called Gerald Hutchins. I found his personal number through a business directory. I called from my landline. An older man answered. I introduced myself. I said I was interested in potentially purchasing Premier Auto Group. There was a long pause. He asked how I'd gotten his number. I said I was resourceful. He laughed. He said he liked that. He asked what my background was. I told him the truth. I was a retired factory worker. I had no experience in car sales, but I had motivation. I had capital, and I had a personal interest in the business. He asked what that meant. I said I would rather explain in person. He agreed to meet me. We met at a diner off Highway 41. Gerald was tall, white hair, wore slacks and a polo shirt. He had kind eyes. We shook hands. He ordered coffee and pie. I ordered coffee. He asked me why I wanted to buy his dealership. I told him everything, the whole story. My daughter, Marcus, the affairs, the embezzlement, the mockery about my car. Everything. I showed him the documents Tom had gathered, the proof of Marcus's theft. Gerald's expression changed. He got very quiet, very serious. I hired that boy 3 years ago, Gerald said slowly. He interviewed well, sold well. I trusted him. I gave him the sales manager position last year. And this is what he has been doing? He looked at the documents again. This is $35,000 minimum. Probably more I have not caught. I could have him arrested. I said I had a different idea. I laid it out for him. I told him I wanted to buy the dealership. I told him I had access to just under $300,000 in capital. I knew that was not enough for the $1.2 million asking price, but I proposed a deal. I would put down my $300,000. He would finance the rest. I would pay him back over 10 years at a reasonable interest rate. In exchange, I would give him something valuable. I would give him Marcus. I would ensure that Marcus faced consequences for what he had done. Legal consequences, public consequences. Gerald would get justice and he would get his money back. I would get the dealership and Marcus would get what he deserved. Gerald stirred his coffee. He ate a bite of pie. He said, "Why would I sell to you instead of someone with actual experience?" I said, "Because I am not asking you to just walk away. I'm asking you to stay on as a consultant, help me learn the business, teach me. I am 68 years old, but I'm not stupid. I ran a production line for 31 years. I managed teams. I understand operations. I understand people. And I understand revenge." He smiled. He said, "I retired from the Army after 25 years. Drill sergeant. I understand revenge too." He stuck out his hand. "You got yourself a deal, Frank." We shook. We went to his lawyer the next day. We drew up the papers. I signed over my home equity line of credit. I withdrew my retirement account. I cleaned out my savings. I sold my Honda Accord to a neighbor's kid for $2,800. $302,800 total. I gave it all to Gerald as the down payment. He financed the remaining $900,000 over 10 years at 5% interest. My monthly payment would be $9,559. It was insane. It was impossible. But Gerald believed in me. He said he would stay on for 6 months to help me learn. He said he would make sure I succeeded. He also said he would make sure Marcus paid. The closing was scheduled for August 22, 2024, a Thursday. Gerald arranged for the paperwork to be signed at the dealership at 10 in the morning. He told the staff there would be an important meeting. He did not tell them what it was about. He especially did not tell Marcus. I did not tell Jennifer either. I had stopped talking to her as much. She had called twice more asking for money. I said no both times. She was angry. She said I was being selfish. She said I did not understand what they were going through. I said she was right. I did not understand. She hung up on me. The night before the closing, I slept maybe 2 hours. I kept thinking about Linda, what she would think of what I was doing. Would she approve? Would she think I was crazy? I believed she would understand. She had always been protective of Jennifer. She would have been heartbroken to see what Jennifer had become, what Marcus had turned her into. I believed Linda would want me to do this. I believed she would want me to fight. I arrived at Premier Auto Group at 9:30. I wore my navy suit, the funeral suit. I had it dry cleaned. I wore a white shirt and a blue tie. I drove there in a rental car, a Chevy Malibu I had rented for $39 a day. I parked in the customer lot. My hands were shaking as I walked toward the building. Gerald met me at the door. He smiled. He said, "You ready?" I said I was. We went to the conference room. Big table, leather chairs, windows overlooking the showroom floor. Gerald's lawyer was there, a woman named Susan Porter. She had all the paperwork laid out, stacks of documents. I started signing, page after page, initialing, dating, signing. It took 40 minutes. When I signed the last page, Susan said, "Congratulations, Mr. Thompson. You are now the owner of Premier Auto Group." Gerald shook my hand. He said, "Welcome to the business." Then he made a phone call. He called Marcus's extension. He said, "Marcus, can you come to the conference room, please? We need to discuss something." Marcus said he would be right there. 2 minutes later, Marcus walked in. He was wearing a gray suit, pink tie, Rolex on his wrist, hair slicked back. He had a coffee cup in his hand. He looked at me. His expression flickered with confusion, then recognition, then something like annoyance. He said, "Frank, what are you doing here?" Gerald said, "Marcus, please sit down." Marcus sat. He looked between Gerald and me and Susan. He said, "What is going on?" Gerald said, "Marcus, I would like to introduce you to the new owner of Premier Auto Group, Frank Thompson." The color drained from Marcus's face. His mouth opened slightly. No sound came out. He looked at me, really looked at me, like he was seeing me for the first time. I said, "Hello, Marcus." He found his voice. "This is a joke. This is some kind of joke." Gerald said, "It is not a joke. I sold the dealership to Frank this morning. All the papers are signed. It is done. Frank is now your boss." Marcus stood up. His chair scraped against the floor. He said, "You cannot be serious. Him. He drives a beater. He's a factory worker. He does not know anything about this business." I said, "I sold my beater. I sold it to pay for this." I gestured around the room. "And you are right. I do not know much about the car business yet. But I'm a quick learner. Gerald is going to help me. And first thing I need to learn about is employee theft." Marcus went very still. Susan pulled out a folder. She slid it across the table. She said, "Mr. Webb, these are copies of sales records showing discrepancies between reported sales and actual deposits over the past 18 months. The total amount of these discrepancies is $38,742. We have reason to believe you have been embezzling these funds." Marcus's hands were shaking. He said, "I do not know what you are talking about." I said, "We have the documents, Marcus. We have everything. Bank records, sales sheets, witness statements. You have been stealing from this dealership for over a year. And you have been using that money to fund your affairs. 3 different women at last count. Hotels, restaurants, gifts. All paid for with stolen money while you were borrowing thousands of dollars from me to keep your house." His face went from pale to red. He said, "You've been spying on me?" I said, "I've been protecting my daughter. And myself. You owe me $18,500, by the way. I have a record of every penny I gave you and Jennifer. I will be expecting repayment." Marcus looked at Gerald. "You are going to believe him over me. I have made you so much money over the years. I am your top salesman." Gerald said, "You are a thief. And as of right now, you are fired. Clean out your desk. You have 30 minutes. Security will escort you off the property, and Frank is filing a police report this afternoon. You will be hearing from the authorities." Marcus's mouth opened and closed. He looked at me with something I had never seen before. Fear, real fear. He said, "Jennifer will never forgive you for this. I said. Then I guess I will have to live with that. But at least I can live with myself. Can you? He did not answer. He turned and walked out of the room. I could hear him down the hallway, yelling, cursing. Gerald called security. 2 men escorted Marcus out of the building 20 minutes later. He had a cardboard box with his personal items. He was still yelling. Everyone in the showroom watched. The other salespeople, the customers, everyone saw Marcus Webb being thrown out in disgrace. I stood at the window and watched him get into his red Audi and peel out of the parking lot. Gerald stood next to me. He said, "How does it feel?" I said, "It feels like justice." That afternoon, I called Jennifer. She did not answer. I left a voicemail. I said I needed to talk to her. She called me back 3 hours later. She was crying, screaming. She said Marcus told her everything. She said I had destroyed their lives. She said I had gotten him fired. She said I was a vindictive old man who could not stand to see them happy. She said she never wanted to speak to me again. I said, "Jennifer, he was stealing. He was cheating on you with multiple women. He took $18,000 from me and never paid it back. He mocked me for show. Years. He is not who you think he is." She said, "I do not care. He is my husband. You are supposed to support us, not destroy us." She hung up. I did not hear from her for 3 months. In the meantime, I learned the car business. Gerald was true to his word. He came in every day for the first 6 months. He taught me everything: how to manage sales staff, how to read the market, how to work with lenders and manufacturers, how to build relationships with customers. I was terrified at first, but I learned. I worked 12-hour days. I asked questions. I made mistakes and fixed them. The staff was skeptical at first, but they warmed up when they saw I was serious, when they saw I respected them and paid them fairly. The first week was the hardest. I did not know the computer systems. I did not know the financing software. I did not understand half the terminology the salespeople used, but I watched. I listened. I took notes. Gerald walked me through every single process: how to take a trade-in, how to negotiate a deal, how to work with the service department, how to manage inventory. He was patient. He never made me feel stupid for not knowing something. He would say, "You ran a factory floor for 3 decades. This is the same thing. Different product, same principles, management, organization, customer service. You know this. You just need to learn the language." I met with each member of the sales team individually, 12 salespeople total. I told them I knew I was not what they expected. I told them I had a lot to learn, but I also told them I valued honesty and hard work. I told them anyone who was willing to work hard and treat customers fairly would have a job here as long as I owned the place. Anyone who wanted to play games or cut corners could find employment elsewhere. 3 people quit in the first month. Good riddance. I hired replacements, younger people, hungry, willing to learn a new way of doing business. Marcus was arrested in October. Embezzlement charges. The district attorney took the case seriously because I had such good documentation. Marcus tried to fight it, but the evidence was overwhelming. His lawyer advised him to take a plea deal. He pled guilty in December, sentenced to 18 months in prison, and ordered to pay restitution of $38,742 plus $23,000 to me for what he owed. The payments would come out of any wages he earned for the next 10 years. He would be financially ruined for a long time. The day of his sentencing, I sat in the courtroom. I wanted to see it. I wanted to watch him face consequences. He was wearing an orange jumpsuit, handcuffs. His hair was not slicked back anymore. He looked tired, small. When the judge read the sentence, Marcus's shoulders slumped. He did not look at me, not once. But I looked at him. I wanted him to know I was there. I wanted him to know I had won. Jennifer filed for divorce in November. I heard about it. Through a mutual acquaintance. She moved out of the big house in Riverside Meadows. They could not afford it without Marcus's income. The house went into foreclosure. Jennifer rented a small apartment on the south side. She took a second job waiting tables at night to make ends meet. I did not reach out. I did not know what to say. I had saved her from a man who was destroying her, but she saw it as me destroying her life. Maybe she was right. Maybe I had crossed a line. But I could not regret it. I could not watch her continue down that path. The dealership started turning a profit in month 4. By month 6, I was exceeding Gerald's old numbers. I hired better people. I fired the dead weight. I built a reputation for honesty. No games, no tricks, fair prices, fair trade-ins. Word spread. Business grew. By March of 2025, I was making my loan payments to Gerald with money left over, enough to start rebuilding my savings, enough to feel secure again. One thing I did that Gerald had never done was implement a customer appreciation program. Free oil changes for the first year after purchase, a loaner car program for customers whose vehicles were in service, a referral bonus. Small things that cost money up front but built loyalty. Customers started coming back. They started telling their friends. Reviews online went from 3 stars to 4.8 stars in 6 months. Sales increased by 32%. I also changed the culture in the sales department. No more high-pressure tactics. No more bait and switch. I told my team that we made money by building relationships, not by squeezing people. If a customer walked away from a deal, that was okay. If they came back later, great. If they did not, we had still treated them with respect. That kind of reputation was worth more than any single sale. Some of the old-school salespeople thought I was crazy, but the numbers did not lie. Our closing rate went up because people trusted us. Our return customer rate tripled. In April, Jennifer called me. It was a Sunday afternoon. I was at home reading the newspaper. She said, "Dad?" I said, "Hi, sweetheart." She said, "Can I come over?" I said, "Of course." She arrived an hour later. She looked tired, thinner. Her hair was pulled back in a ponytail, no makeup. She was wearing jeans and a t-shirt, not the designer clothes she'd been wearing for the past 3 years. She looked more like my daughter than she had in a long time. We sat at the kitchen table. I made coffee. She cried for 20 minutes before she could speak. Finally, she said, "I'm so sorry, Dad. You were right about everything. Marcus was cheating, he was stealing, he was using me, using us. I was so blind. I did not want to see it. I thought I had the perfect life, and I was so desperate to keep it that I ignored everything that was wrong. And I treated you terribly. You were trying to help me, and I shut you out. I'm so sorry." I reached across the table and took her hand. I said, "You are my daughter. I love you. I will always love you. And I forgive you." She cried harder. She said, "I do not deserve it." I said, "None of us deserve grace, but that is what family is. We give it anyway." She stayed for dinner. We ordered pizza. We talked, really talked, for hours. She told me about the divorce, about moving, about working 2 jobs, about therapy. She was seeing a therapist twice a week, trying to figure out who she was outside of Marcus's influence, trying to rebuild herself. I told her I was proud of her. I told her she was stronger than she knew. She asked about the dealership. I told her it was doing well. She asked if I was happy. I said I was. I said I had found purpose again. I said buying the dealership was the craziest thing I had ever done, but it had given me something to wake up for, something to work toward. Linda would have thought I was insane, but I believed she would have been proud too. Jennifer asked if she could see it. The dealership. I said, of course. We went the next day, Sunday. The dealership was closed, but I had keys. I gave her the full tour, showed her the showroom, the service bays, the offices, my office. It was Gerald's old office. I had not changed much, still had his desk, his filing cabinets. But I had added a photo, a picture of Linda and Jennifer from 2009. Jennifer was 18 in the photo, smiling, happy. Before Marcus, before everything changed, Jennifer saw the photo and started crying again. She said, "I miss her so much." I said, "Me too." She said, "She would be proud of you. What you have done here, standing up for yourself, building something." I said, "She would be proud of you too, for leaving, for getting help, for being brave enough to start over." Jennifer started coming over every Sunday. We made it a tradition, dinner, conversation, no phones, no distractions, just us. Slowly, over weeks and months, we repaired what had been broken. It was not easy. There were hard conversations. There were moments when old wounds reopened, but we worked through them. We were family. That was what mattered. In June, Jennifer got a promotion at her marketing firm. She was able to quit the waitressing job. She started dating someone new in July, a teacher. A good man who drove a 10-year-old Toyota and split the bill on dates. She seemed happy, really happy. Not the performative happiness she had with Marcus, real joy, real peace. Marcus got out of prison in March of 2026. He served 16 months of his 18-month sentence. I heard through the industry grapevine that he was trying to get a job selling cars again. No one would hire him. His record was public. His reputation was destroyed. Last I heard, he was working at a call center for $11 an hour, making his restitution payments, living in a studio apartment, driving a 15-year-old Nissan with 200,000 miles on it. I did not take pleasure in his suffering, but I did not feel bad about it either. He had made his choices. He was living with the consequences. As for me, I am still running Premier Auto Group. Gerald officially retired last summer. He comes by once a month to check in and to take me to lunch. We have become good friends. The dealership is thriving. I paid off a large chunk of the loan early. At this rate, I will own it outright in 6 more years. I bought myself a new car, a Subaru Outback, nothing fancy, but it is reliable and it is mine. I did not buy it to impress anyone. I bought it because I wanted it. Jennifer works at the dealership now. I offered her a job in the marketing department last fall. She hesitated at first. She did not want special treatment. I told her I was not offering special treatment. I was offering a job to someone with the exact skills I needed. She accepted. She has been incredible. She redesigned our website. She runs our social media. She created ad campaigns that have brought in dozens of new customers. She is good at this, and we work well together. It has been healing for both of us. Her first big project was a complete rebranding campaign. She said the dealership needed to reflect the new values: honesty, integrity, family. She created new commercials, new print ads, a new slogan, "Where your trust is earned, not assumed." It resonated. People started talking about us, sharing our ads, coming in specifically because they had heard about our approach. Jennifer got a raise after 3 months. She earned it. Yesterday was the 3-year anniversary of the day I bought the dealership, August 22nd. I marked it quietly. I stood in the showroom and looked around at what I had built, what I had fought for. The staff was busy, cars were being sold, deals were being closed. The business I had risked everything for was succeeding beyond what I had imagined. Jennifer came up beside me. She said, "What are you thinking about?" I said, "Your mother. I'm thinking she would be proud." Jennifer put her arm around me. She said, "She would be." "I'm proud of you too, Dad. You saved me. Even though I did not want to be saved, even though I fought you, you did it anyway. Thank you." I said, "That is what fathers do." We stood there together, watching the dealership run, watching the life we had rebuilt together. It was not the life I had planned. It was not the retirement I had imagined, but it was good. It was mine, and I had earned it. So that is my story. That is how a 68-year-old man with a beat-up Honda Accord ended up owning a luxury car dealership. That is how I took down the son-in-law who mocked me. That is how I saved my daughter even though she hated me for it at first. I risked everything. My savings, my home, my relationship with my only child. But I would do it all again. Because some things are worth fighting for. Family is worth fighting for. Dignity is worth fighting for. Justice is worth fighting for. If you enjoyed this story, please give it a like. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Leave a comment below and let me know where you are watching from. Have you ever had to stand up to someone who underestimated you? Have you ever taken a crazy risk that paid off? I want to hear your stories, and if you really want to support the channel, consider leaving a super thanks. It helps me keep making these videos and sharing these stories with you. Thank you for listening, thank you for being here, and remember, never let anyone make you feel small. Never let anyone tell you that you are not good enough. You are stronger than you know. You are capable of more than you realize. And sometimes, the best revenge is not revenge at all. It is success. It is living well. It is proving them wrong just by refusing to give up. Take care of yourselves. I will see you in the next video.